Hi guys, welcome to today's episode of the vlog series. Today I'm going to walk you through a certificate of sponsorship and tell you all the things you need to look out for.
Okay, so we're going to get straight into it. This is what you'll be faced with when you receive your certificate of sponsorship. It's a pretty straightforward document actually, 2 pages, not that much information or detail in there. I think the important thing to remember is that this is basically the trust's way of identifying that they have a job and that they've identified you as the candidate who's going to fill that job, so that you can take that to the Home Office and they can confirm, of course, that that you'll have somewhere to work when you arrive in the UK. So I'm going to walk through the details as they are from the top. So tier and category, general new hires, doctors and nurses. So, you know, this is a trust-based thing. It's just the category that you'll fall into as you join. The CoS status at the top, so the sponsor license number, this is unique to the hospital trust that you're joining. Every NHS trust will have its own sponsor license number. It will always be detailed at the top there, and I think it's automatically filled in through the SMS system when the trust apply for it, so you shouldn't find any errors on that. All sponsors are A-rated as well, so you shouldn't have any issues with queries about sponsor licenses. The sponsor name, that'll have the name of the trust there. I've redacted some of the information on here, of course. So the sponsor name, sorry, will be there. That'll be the name of the hospital that you're going to work for. The certificate number, this will be quite important as it's the number that you'll enter onto the application when you filling your online application. There's another vlog that we've done on filling in the application. Your certificate status assigned, that just means it's assigned to you. So it's possible for the trust to request a COS, but not actually assign it to an individual. So at that stage, they're just identifying that they have a job that meets the requirements of needing a tier 2 international applicant. Once it's been assigned, that means it's been assigned to you as the individual. The current certificate status date is the 12th of June on this one, and the date assigned, they usually will be exactly the same, the start date of the certificate of sponsorship, basically. And the expiry date will be 90 days after that. So you have 90 days in which to use your certificate of sponsorship. So by that, it means that you need to apply for your tier 2 visa within a 90-day period. If you don't apply for it within that period, it will then go back into circulation, and if you needed another one, the trust would then just reissue a new COS, but it would have a new certificate number. If you intend to start after the expiry date of the COS, that's fine, but you still need to make your application within the 90-day period, and just state that your intended travel date would be after that. Sponsorship withdrawn, no, obviously the sponsorship stands. Sponsor notes, there are well, there won't always be sponsor notes on there, but if there are any mistakes or errors or things that you need correcting as your application goes through, so maybe there's a slight change to your start date, or perhaps there's a spelling mistake in your name or your passport number, it could be anything really. A sponsor note will be added to reflect that, and you can request those from your employer. It's important to note that once this is done, amendments can't be made to it, but sponsor notes will act as amendments, if that makes sense. So, for example, if the nationality was wrong, it can't be changed from Egypt to a different country, but it can have a sponsor note added to reflect, and that will be absolutely fine. The Home Office will see that when they receive your application. Right, so personal information, usual stuff in there, of course. All of your personal particulars should be in there. When you receive your COS, make sure that you check through to see for any spelling mistakes in your name, any errors in your passport number, anything along those lines. Passport and travel documentation details follow, sorry, so passport number, issue date, expiry date, and place of issue. Just double check that. Of course, there may be often things that like first names and surnames get mixed up, or there might be a slight spelling mistake. So if you need a sponsor note added to reflect that, you can request those. Current home address. It's important that this address needs to match up with, first of all, the proofs of address that you'll be providing, and second of all, the address that you'll be making the application from. So this is where your passport will be returned to with its vignette visa enclosed. So if obviously you intend to apply from, perhaps you're living somewhere now and you're flying back to your home country to make the application from there, then that's the address that it should show, because that's the address you'll be making the application from. It'll also, of course, be the one that's closest to the visa application centre that you intend to apply from. So make sure that that's reflective of the correct place. Again, if you were to move location and you needed to change that, then you can do a sponsor note will do that for you as well. ID numbers from the UK, traditionally there aren't anything filled in there unless you've lived and resided in the UK before. So things like national insurance numbers, national ID card numbers, employee numbers, you would only have those if you were moving to another sponsor. So if you're a brand new tier 2 applicant, you won't have those. But if you're getting a COS because you're moving jobs, for example, then these will be populated. But if you're a new applicant, you'll get all of this once you arrive in the UK. Onto the second page, the work information, work dates. They'll put an anticipated start date on here. Again, you could add a sponsor note if there's a significant difference, but if it's a few days either side, then you should be fine. And that's why it's important to try and give as close an indication as you can from the very beginning as to when you're actually going to travel and start your job. In this instance, it's a 1-year contract, so the dates reflect that. There'll be a 1-year term on it. So the COS, the contract starts and ends within 1 year distance. That should also reflect on your application. So if, for example, the trust have issued you with a 2-year contract, but actually you only see 1 year on the COS, then it's worth querying that and getting a sponsor note added. Does a migrant need to leave and re-enter the UK during the period of approval? In this case, it's answered no. That would just be if you needed to actually come to the UK whilst you didn't have your passport. So when you make the application, attend your biometrics, you'll leave your passport with them and then it'll be returned to you. Obviously, during that time, it would be difficult for you to travel without your passport. So usually the answer is no, but there's a possibility it could be a yes. Total hours of work, again, this should be in your contract or your offer letter, so should match up with that. 48 hours is pretty standard for a doctor's contract. Main work address, this will be the address of the trust that you're going to be based at. Don't be surprised if you're working on one site of the hospital, but their main address is put in there. That's not unusual. It will just be the address that's assigned to the sponsor. Other work details, so the employment that you're going to be in, again, this should all correlate with your offer letter. So in this case, it's a respiratory medicine job, trust grade doctor. And the job type will almost always, if you're coming as a doctor, fall under this 2211 category, medical practitioners, specialty registrar and equivalent. Anything that comes in on the 2211 category at the moment is deemed shortage occupation. So all doctor roles are on the shortage occupation list, which will help you, of course, with your application. Summary of the job description. Some trusts like to be really detailed with this and others just put in a few lines. This one's quite detailed, but there'll just be a synopsis of the job and any conditions under your work contract. Your salary, this will be the total salary usually, so it should include any uplifts, banding, anything like that. So just make sure, double check that it does reflect with the salary you're expecting from your offer letter for each year, of course. So this will be your annual salary rather than your monthly, or the total of your entire contract if it's more than 1 year. Is a job on the shortage occupation list? Again, that's usually ticked yes, because it's the 2211 medical practitioners section. Registration details, if there's a legal requirement. So GMC registration is usually detailed there. Sometimes, well, you will be asked to obviously obtain your GMC registration documents, so worth having those to hand. Tick to confirm that the post is appropriate skill level as set out in the sponsor guidance. Yes, that's just the hospital saying that they've interviewed you and that your skill level meets the requirements of the job. and tick to certify maintenance for migrant and dependents if applicable. So this is one we get asked a lot of questions about. Is this ticked yes or no? Because the NHS are an A-graded sponsor, the norm for them is to tick yes, at the very least for the migrant, so the person that's making the application. They may make exception if they don't want to cover dependents, and they may tick no in some instances. It's not unusual, it's not unheard of. It's not an issue either. It just means that you need to show your bank account statements covering the last 3 months. So yeah, double check that that's fulfilled. So that's the COS. It's not a very complicated document at all, but those are the things to look out for. Once you've got this, you should be in a position to make your Tier 2 application, assuming you've got all of the supplementary documents as well.
Thanks very much for listening, guys. Hopefully that's been of some use in telling you a little bit more about certificates of sponsorship and what to expect. If you're currently relocating to the UK and you need any guidance at all, then please do get in touch. As always, we'll put the contact details up at the end of the video.